Mr. Chair, we are now live.
Thank you very much. I will now call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. My name is David Saunders, and I will be acting as chairperson this evening. I welcome all individuals present. This meeting of the Property Standards and Animal Services Appeal Committee is being held electronically and live streamed on the town's website. All members in attendance are participating by audio and video teleconference, and town staff are available throughout the meeting if members have any questions on the agenda. For members of the public watching from home, please bear with us if we encounter any technical difficulties throughout the meeting. I'll now describe the mandate of our committee. The Town of Ajax Property Standards Appeals Committee and the Animal Services Appeal Committee has full delegation of the authority in the Building Code Act and the Municipal Act to hear appeals. The committee shall hear evidence presented by witnesses, town bylaw staff, property owners, the owners of dogs, and other individuals who may have evidence relating to the case, and make decisions on the status of either the property standards order or the order to restrain by confirming, modifying, rescinding, or extending the time for complying with the order. If an individual or the town does not agree with the decision of the committee with regards to a property standards decision, the order may be appealed to the Superior Court of Justice. If an individual or the town does not agree with the decision of the committee with regard to an order to restrain decision, the order may be appealed to the General Government Committee of the Town of Ajax. All appeal processes will be outlined in a written decision of the committee, which will be mailed to the appellant. So I'll now describe the rules, how we're going to proceed this evening. These are the rules of procedure. The format of this meeting will be that each appeal will be heard in order listed on the agenda. Town staff will present their testimony to the committee. The committee will then ask the officer questions. At the conclusion of committee questions, the appellant will then have the option to ask questions of the officer also. This process will continue for each witness that will give evidence on behalf of the town. After the town is completed its case, the appellant then will present their testimony to the committee. The committee will ask the appellant questions. At the conclusion of committee questions, town staff will then have the option to ask questions of the appellant. This process will continue for each witness that will give testimony on behalf of the appellant. Now, at the conclusion of these question askings and testimonies, each side will then be asked to summarize their positions, starting with town staff. The committee will then deliberate in a public forum. It is important that the appellant remain, as there may be additional questions raised by members. And that's how we're going to proceed this evening. So first thing on the agenda is the approval of minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Sorry, I will put forth a motion to approve the minutes as written.
Okay, thank you very much, Jessica. And we have the minutes approved, I assume? Okay, great. Now, our first case up tonight is the Animal Services Appeal. This is the Slip and Chuck appellant. Who is here for this matter for the town? We have Officer Normore here.
Yes, I am here.
Thank you. Is there anybody else here for the town, Officer Normore?
No, there is not.
Thank you. And for the appellant, we have, I think we earlier heard there's a Michelle Slip and Chuck, is that correct?
Yes, I'm here.
Is there anybody else you have to call witnesses for your side tonight?
No, I don't.
Okay, so Michelle Slip and Chuck, Jacob Normer, great.
My apologies. There is someone on, there is a victim that is present here today on behalf of the town.
Okay, the victim's present, and that is Mr. Bath.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so we've got Mr. Bath. Great. Okay, so Officer Normore, can you please present your testimony?
Good evening. Can you guys hear me all right? Okay, awesome. On April 20th, 2022, I received a complaint from Mr. David Bath, the victim. I was advised about a dog bite incident that had just occurred near the Millers Creek Trail around 4 p.m. The victim stated that he was rollerblading down the trail pathway when a leash dog, described as a boxer mastiff type dog, lunged and bit him, puncturing the skin and causing him to fall to the pavement, striking his head and shoulder. Once the victim had regained ability to stand, he exchanged contact information with Evgeny Slipinchuk, the dog owner and appellant, and asked if the dog victim then reported the bite to Animal Services and passed along the appellant's information to myself. Later that evening, the victim provided me with pictures of his wound and a statement regarding the incident. See attached. On April 22nd, 2022, I phoned the appellant and asked if he would like to be included in my investigation and provide a statement. The appellant agreed and provided a verbal statement. See attached. On April 23rd, 2022, after reviewing the photos of the bite and both statements, I had reason to believe that a bite did occur. I issued a standard order to restrain, which includes but not limited to provisions such as keeping the dog licensed, posting of warning signs, ensuring that nobody under the age of 18 walks the dog, and that the dog to be leashed and muzzled when off the property of the owner and not in an enclosed area. This order of restraint was delivered on April 27th, 2022. See attached. On May 5th, 2022, the town received a letter requesting for the appeal meeting from Evgeny Slipinchuk. See attached. May 5th, 2022, the same day, the town sent the appellant the appeal notice of date and time from the Secretary of the Property Standards and Animal Services Appeal Committee. See attached. And that concludes my testimony.
Thank you very much, Officer Normore. Does the committee have any questions of the officer?
Yeah. Hello, Officer Normore. I just want to confirm that everything in the verbal statement is accurate, including the portion where the appellant said that the guy who was bit is always known to be coming way too fast. Is that accurate?
Yes. Yes, that is correct. I took everything down word for word.
Thank you very much.
Any other questions from committee members? I have a question for the officer. Officer Normore, did you attend the scene where this bite occurred?
No, I did not attend the scene of where the bite had occurred.
Are you familiar with the path they're talking about, the Miller Creek path?
Yes, I am familiar. I have done patrols down that path in the past.
Can you give me an idea of the width of that path and what is it like paved or what is it?
It is a paved path. As to the width, I can't really. It is a paved path. It's typical path that you would see. Sorry.
Okay, is it in your opinion designed for people to easily pass each other going in opposite directions?
Yes, in my opinion, it is designed for the ease of people to pass each other.
Thanks very much. Okay, if there are no more questions from the committee, no. Ms. Slipinchuk, this is an opportunity to ask questions for Officer Normore, but you're going to have a chance later on to tell your story, okay? This is just questions for the officer. Do you have any questions for Officer Normore?
I do, yes. My first question for Officer Normore is just how was it that he determined that the pictured injury was a dog bite and not just a scratch from the pavement?
Yeah, so if you see attached on page 15, from my examination, I believe that there is 2 puncture wounds at the bottom there, and then it did like scratch down from the teeth mark, so it punctured in near the bottom there, and then it did scratch down as the teeth came out.
Okay, another question, if you don't mind. In your training, are you trained to detect dog bites?
We aren't. So we do go over examinations of the dog bites. There is no specific training on dog bites itself, but we do have experience looking at dog bites and determining dog bites just through visual.
Okay, and another question, was there a medical examination of the bite?
From my understanding, just for speaking to the victim, he did not seek medical attention or have the bite taken a look at by medical examiner. However, the victim is here today if you would like to ask him that question, as he would be better to answer that.
Okay. And in your professional opinion, do you normally see victims of dog bites get medical attention and have a doctor examine their bites?
Not always. If it's severe enough, they do go seek medical attention. However, in this typical bite that we're reviewing here, there was no medical attention needed for this.
Okay, thank you. Those are all my questions.
Thank you, Ms. Slimchuk. Okay, Officer Normer, do you have Mr. Bath available?
He is here today, yes.
Okay, Mr. Bath, would you like to present your testimony?
Yes, that's correct. I was heading north on the trail. And as I was rollerblading, I was going fairly quickly. As I passed the man, the woman, and the dog, I did feel the dog. I did feel the bite. Okay, I didn't see the dog bite me because I was looking ahead. Okay, so as I passed, I was looking forward. I didn't see the dog bite me, but I certainly felt it. So I felt the pain right in the left part of my leg when he bit there, and at that point I fell. Okay, I actually hit my right side, my head. So here, and here was bruised on the right side of my head. And I don't think there's any way possible to strike the right side of your head and also strike the left side of your knee on the pavement. If it was the right side of my knee, that would make sense. But I mean, you would have to twist your body literally in a pretzel to strike the left side of your knee, striking the right side of your body. Okay, so I think that shows that it was not from the fall. There was something else. And I did feel the bite, right?
Okay, does that conclude your evidence?
Unless there's something else you would like me to address.
Well, if you're finished your testimony, then what we will do is ask questions.
Okay, well, I mean, there's one more thing that I should point out is that, you know, after I got up, I said to Mr. Sylvanchuk, I said, "Your dog bit me." He said, "You came too close to us." Right? He didn't say, "My dog didn't bite you." Okay, he said, "You came too close." You know, so you know, if that was me, if I thought my dog didn't bite someone, the first thing I would say, "My dog didn't bite you." I wouldn't say you were too close, right? So.
Okay, is that all you want to say?
That's all I want to say, sure.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bath. Okay, do committee members have any questions for Mr. Bath?
Yes, I do. Hi, Mr. Bath. Just have a couple questions in terms of the area on the trail where this occurred. Were you on a straight or curved area of the trail when this occurred?
It was fairly straight. I mean, there might be a little bit of a curve, but mostly straight.
So the visibility was good, that you could see ahead of you. And okay. Was it a busy evening? That was the trail busy at the time? Were there a lot of people out?
No.
Okay. And did you come upon the dog and the people walking the dog from the front or from the behind?
I came from the front, so they were coming south. I was going north.
Okay. Okay. And just to clarify, when you fell after the dog connected with you, you fell on your right side. Did you have any other injuries, any other scrapes? Like how was your hand? How was your elbow, arm? Any other injuries on your body?
I had a bruise at my right eye. I had a bruise on my right cheek. I had a bruise on my chin to the right side. And my ribs, I struck my ribs on the right side, right by my, just below my shoulder.
Okay, but you didn't put your hand out to stop your fall or anything like that you're aware of that might have injured yourself that way as well?
I think I caught myself on my right hand, but
okay.
I think what happened was, I was going straight, but when the dog grabbed on, with my forward inertia, that my body sort of torqued around that point.
Okay.
And that's why I ended up striking my right side, not going flat on my face.
Okay. All right. Those are my only questions for you. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello, Mr. Bath. I was just wondering if you could confirm that you didn't seek any medical attention after the bite.
No, I didn't. No.
Okay.
My big concern was about rabies, and I did receive a call from Lake Ridge Health the next day from a nurse, and she said that the dog would be quarantined for 10 days, and at that point, would be determination would be made, if there was any need for me to get rabies treatment. After 10 days, she called me and said everything was fine.
Okay. And I'm also just wondering, do you think that you were going too fast on the trail at the time?
Too fast? Well, I don't think I was going too fast. I was going, obviously, going faster than someone walking. But I've been rollerblading for 20 years now, and I'm very experienced, so I don't just fall. Okay, so I don't think I was going too fast, no.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bath. I was just wondering, when you were approaching the couple and the dog, were you at all concerned that there was not enough room for you to get by them?
No, because they were on the right. The trail is about, I would say, is probably about 7 feet across, right? So they were on the right-hand side. I was on the left-hand side. So, I only need about a couple of feet.
Right.
So I wasn't concerned about that, no.
Okay, thanks very much.
Okay.
Okay, again, Ms. Lipinchuk, you have an opportunity to ask Mr. Bath questions. Again, it's not your time to tell your story, but just ask questions if you have any.
No questions from me, thank you.
Okay, great. Now, Ms. Lipinchuk, this is your opportunity to present your testimony. So please go ahead.
Thank you. I won't go into the details of the event because we don't dispute what had happened, other than the fact that there was a dog bite. My parents were walking my dog as they do and have been for 7 years on that path. And the victim of the fall has passed by us very quickly at high speeds in the past, and there's been no occurrences. So I just want to start off. I think initially we were a little bit shocked that this had happened. Nobody had actually seen Max bite this gentleman. We just saw some kind of, obviously Max approached him because he was going very quickly, and the gentleman fell and hurt himself. And, you know, when my parents came back and told me what had happened, I was a little skeptical because Max has never had any issues with aggression and never had any issues with any bites or anything like that. So we decided to appeal the decision to see what kind of evidence there was to support that there was a dog bite. And then after seeing the pictures that were submitted by the victim, it's very clear that there's no dog bite there. Excuse me. There's very much a road rash on the knee there. A dog wouldn't be able to make such a road rash on the skin. You know, if you take a look at any picture of a dog bite, you see the outline of the dog's mouth. My dog is a very large dog with a large mouth. So if he had bitten this gentleman, it would be a very large area with, you know, a very large puncture wound circumference. And obviously there wouldn't be any road burn on the bite as well, because I can't imagine how a dog would be able to create such a wound. And again, there was no medical examination, so I'm not a doctor. I wasn't able to look at that and know exactly whether or not that was a dog bite. But to me, looking at it, it looks very clearly like somebody who fell on the pavement after going really fast on the rollerblades. Yeah, so I think that's my position here. You know, my dog's had never had any issue with anything, any kind of aggression towards anybody. He's in the past been surrounded by kids, rollerblading, biking. There's never been any issue, and I don't think that based on these pictures, it's fair that he's muzzled now for the rest of his life. When there's clearly no evidence of a dog bite in these pictures.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Slippin. You'll have an opportunity later to summarize your position. But right now, we just wanted your testimony. Do any of the committee members have questions for the appellant?
Yeah. Hi there, Ms. Slipinchuk. I just want to confirm that you weren't there at the time of the incident. That's correct, right?
I wasn't. No, it was my parents.
Okay, and you're aware of the statement made by, I would imagine, your father, Evgeny?
I am, yeah.
So, can you explain how in the statement he says lately there has been an increase in people going by on scooters and rollerblades? The guy who was bit is known to always be coming way too fast, etc.
Are you referring to the part where he says bit?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, my father wasn't under oath or anything. He was just providing. My dad thought that Max did bite him, right? Because nobody actually saw what had occurred. It was all happening very quickly. So I don't think that there's any weight to that statement. No one actually saw Max's mouth and teeth go into anybody's skin.
Okay, thank you.
Jessica, you have any questions?
I do. Michelle, what type of leash? The statement was that the dog was on a short leash. What type of leash is usually used for Max?
He has one of those fabric leashes. Not really sure what types of leashes there are out there.
How long is the leash approximately in terms of length? Like, is that one of those retractable ones that goes out to like 20 or 30 feet?
No, it's not.
Okay. So a fairly standard fabric leash?
Correct.
Okay. And what type of collar? Was it a flat collar, choke collar, a gentle leader? What type of a collar was attached to the leash to the dog?
Max has a harness.
Harness, okay. Okay, thank you. That's all my questions.
Okay, then. don't think I have any other questions then. Officer Normore, do you have any questions for the appellant?
I have no questions.
Okay, then. Ms. Slipinchuk, you said, I think earlier we learned you don't have anybody else who's going to give any testimony here?
No, I don't.
Okay, good. All right, now is the time for a summary of your positions. Both the town and the appellant have one final opportunity to summarize your position. We'll start with the town. Officer Normore, can you summarize the town's position on this?
To summarize the town's position, we feel no change. We would like to stick with the order to restrain.
Thank you. And Ms. Lipinchuk, would you like to summarize your position?
Sure. I mean, similarly, I think I've stated everything I needed to state. Even on a balance of probabilities, looking at these pictures, it's very clear that there's no dog bite. A dog wouldn't be able to create such a wound. And I think the fact that there was no medical examination as well speaks to the fact that this was just an injury, an unfortunate injury from a fall.
Okay, thanks very much. So that concludes all the evidence that's going to be presented. Now what's going to happen is the committee is going to deliberate, and we will make a decision on what we're saying will happen with this order to restrain. So now let's go into our deliberations.
So I'm just making sure I'm not muted. Okay. So I guess I can start. Looking at the evidence as presented, including the photographs, I think regardless of whether a bite occurred or not, there was contact, and there was no dispute that contact was made between this dog and the victim. The contact did happen to cause the victim to become injured, regardless of whether it was a bite or a fall. I can't, based on the photograph, determine whether that was a dog bite for sure or not. And everything did happen quickly. So I don't doubt that there was contact that occurred to cause Mr. Bath to fall. From my opinion, I mean, the dog was on an appropriate leash. The dog was being walked on a multi-use trail. And the issue with a multi-use trail, and we have them throughout Ajax, is that they are used by a multitude of different types of people. So we have cyclists, we have pedestrians, we have dog walkers, we have children, we have rollerbladers, we have people on scooters. So we have a multitude of different types of use on a multi-use trail. And so we have a situation in which a dog contacted another person without their permission and caused an injury. And so I think bottom line is that this is a dog who is reactive to other people, regardless of whether the person was coming fast or not. This is a multi-use trail. And so there are different uses permitted on this trail. There is no speed limit in terms of being able to rollerblade. I don't think there was a motor on Mr. Bath's rollerblades. It was under human power. It was on a straight stretch, so there was good visibility. And the dog should have been under better control.
Okay.
I'll say I generally agree with Jessica. I wouldn't personally be comfortable saying that what the injury from that's in the picture is not a dog bite. In my opinion, it looks like it could be the result of a dog bite at the very least. I appreciate the appellant's testimony and that there was no medical examination to confirm that it was a dog bite, but we really only have the testimony of the victim here. Neither of the other two people who were actually holding the dog were here to give any testimony today. And the victim, in this case, seems to think also that there was a dog bite. And besides that, as Jessica pointed out, there was contact either way. And even if there was no dog bite, the dog did injure Mr. Bath. So that's kind of where I'm at right now.
Okay. Thanks, Tyler. Yeah, it's very unfortunate this occurred. It's happens, far too frequently, however. And these multi-use trails, whether it be bikes, rollerblades, skateboards, people walking, people running, whatever. The thing is, there was a serious injury, but it could have been far more serious. And I do agree with with my colleagues in that the injury was very what's the word? Serious. It's hard to tell from the pictures exactly what happened, but I will point out a couple things that are, I think, instructive. Mr. Bath apparently immediately expresses concern that the dog has had whether the dog has had his rabies shots. I do very much believe Mr. Bath thinks he has been bitten. And when he gave his testimony, he talked about the pain, and that was immediate pain, which I took as meaning prior to him hitting the ground and scraping around on the ground, with other injuries. He also said that the injury is on his left leg and he fell on his right side. So that left would be the side with the dog close to him. And the scrape would therefore, he said, would be on his right leg were it to occur, or his right knee rather than his left knee. Also, we have Mr. Slippenchuk's statement to Officer Normore, where he refers to Mr. Bath as the guy who was bit in his statement. And that's, so I think there was a general understanding at the time of that there had been a dog bite at the time of. The photos, while everybody will agree, we're not 100% conclusive. They do show a couple of lacerations, which are, I think, consistent with punctures. There's two sort of strafing kind of lacerations. One appears larger than the other. So I'm of the opinion that there is a likelihood there was a bite. I think that was likely had happened, and that's where I sit with this whole situation. Does anybody else have any other comments from our committee members as to how we should proceed at this point?
I think I would personally be in favor of upholding the order as is. As it stands, just seems like the bite probably did occur, and the order seems proper for what happened.
All right, Jessica, do you have any final thoughts?
I'm in agreement with Tyler. I think it's a very unfortunate situation for all parties involved. When we share space on a multi-use trail, we do have to look out for not just our own actions, but people around us. And I think both parties in this circumstance have learned, since Mr. Bath was approaching from the front, the dog owner, the person who was controlling the dog, had plenty of time to have the dog under control, and unfortunately failed to do so. And luckily, it wasn't a more serious injury for a child, and not negating Mr. Bath's injuries, but it could have been far worse. I'm inclined as well to uphold the order as written.
Okay, are we ready to have a motion then tabled?
Yeah, I can table a motion to uphold the order as written.
Okay, we have a motion to uphold the order as written. Can I get a vote? All in favor? Jessica, Tyler, okay, carried. Therefore, the decision, Mr. and Mrs. or Miss Slippenchuk, is that we have deliberated and we have upheld the order. A written decision will be mailed to you following the meeting. If you do not agree with the committee's decision, the appeals process will be detailed in the written decision mailed to you, and I have outlined those options earlier in the meeting. So thank you very much for attending. Second matter. This is a property standards appeal for 8 Hunwick, swimming pool at 8 Hunwick's Crescent. Who is here for this matter for the town? Who do we have here?
Excuse me, Mr. Chair. Just a point of order for the minutes. Could we have note that committee member McNally has attended?
Oh, excellent. Thank you very much for pointing that out. So we have Lindsay has shown up. Late but welcome. Late but welcome, yes. Okay, so we're moving on to the second item, and I'm asking, is Officer Visser here?
I'm present, yes.
Okay, do you have anybody else to have as witnesses for the town?
No, just myself.
Okay, and for the appellants at 8 Hunwick, who do we have here? Marley Dupuy?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, Marley, is there anybody else here with you?
So the only person that's here is like my daughter with me.
Oh, I meant it's going to give evidence.
Oh, so sorry. No, no, sorry.
Okay, so we have 2 people. Great.
Sorry.
Okay, so we'll go through the same process. Officer Visser, can you please present your testimony?
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes, very well,
Okay.
thank you.
In regards to the application that was brought forward to the town, we received the application for a swimming pool enclosure permit on approximately June 17th, 2021 for 8 Hunwick's Crescent. It came in the name of Marley Ray Dupuy and Santi Comatini. On June 23rd, 2021, I reviewed the document and signed off on behalf of the Bylaw Services Department as the requirements in regards to our fence bylaw had been met as per the site plan that was provided in the original application. I then provided our engineering department a copy of the approval from Bylaw Services to receive approval from the engineering department. On June 29th, 2021, my colleague from engineering department, Junaid Rafiq, he's a CET with the town of Ajax at the time, had provided comment that requirements as per the development drawings would not be appropriate, that the original site plan that had been provided with the application from the owners of 8 Hunwicks, that their setback requirements for the easement at the property would not be met based off of the original drawing. On August 12th, 2021, I had followed up with engineering if any contact had been received from the appellant, as I was advised then that no contact had been received, that they would have to make amendments to their site plan. On August 23rd, 2021, I conducted a drive-by inspection of the pool status and appeared that construction at that time had begun as there was bobcats and other construction vehicles in the rear yard of the home. On September 3rd, 2021, I called the appellant and advised the appellant that I'd been advised by the appellant that all work was on hold until spring 2021 as they were unsure if they were going to sell the pool and purchase a smaller pool. In April 2022, I followed up in regards to the open application with the appellant in regards to whether or not there was a pool at the property. On April 27th, 2022, I attended 8 Hunwick's Crescent and observed the pool that had been installed in the rear/side yard of the property. On May 2nd, 2022, I received voicemail from the appellant that she thought when I was speaking about the property at 8 Hunwicks prior on the April 21st date, that I was speaking about another house that she had and not the 8 Hunwicks Crescent house. And then I performed a search with our town solicitor that has been provided to you in the package. On May 3rd, I followed up with the appellant on the phone and explained that no permit was issued for the installation of the pool. The appellant claimed to have received express permission from a town staff that she was unable to provide the name to me of, and that no physical permit had been provided. I requested access to the rear yard to take measurements and pictures of the work conducted, and advised by the appellant that the gate would be left unlocked for the next day. On May 4th, 2022, I conducted an inspection and obtained pictures and measurements taken to confirm that the setback in the pool surround and the equipment were built upon the easement and zero setback. The pool equipment had zero setback from the easement. On May 6, 2022, I sent a property standards order, the one that's been provided to you, number 22-103614, to the registered homeowners via registered mail and regular mail. On May 25th, I then received the appeal notice.
Okay, thanks very much. Thanks very much, Officer Visser. Okay, does the committee have any questions for the officer? No questions? All right, I have a question, officer. What exactly, can you explain what an easement is?
An easement is like an engineering, essentially there's a catch basin in one of the properties, and an easement allows for the town or whatever's registered on title to allow for like future repairs and whatnot. So it's an area that is not to be constructed upon for the reason that there could be future repairs to what's underneath it. It's based off infrastructure.
Okay. And yeah, we don't have the engineer, Mr. Rafiq, present here today. Officer Visser, is it your understanding that Mr. Rafiq sent an email to the appellant at some point in June?
From my understanding, there was contact made. I'm unsure if it was an email or a phone call at the time.
But there was some contact that this was not, this was a no-go.
Correct. The application was denied from my colleague, Junaid Rafiq, at the time when it was found that the easement was not matched, or the requirement for the easement was not met. Okay. Okay, I'll call once again. Are there any other questions from the committee before we move on?
Yeah, I've got one. Officer Visser, I just want to confirm, just might have misheard. So on the September 3rd, 2021 phone call to the appellant, and she told you that all work was on hold until spring 2022, until she could sell the pool or purchase a smaller one. It wasn't that. When she mentioned later on that she thought you were talking about a different house, was she referring to that conversation as well?
No, those are two different conversations.
Okay, so at the time in September 3rd, 2021, when you called her, she confirmed for that pool at Hunwick that she wasn't going to be completing construction that fall, right?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
I just have one other question that has come up as a result of this information. Did you refer to, Officer Visser, did you refer to the property by its municipal address when referring to the pool application?
8 Hunwicks, yes, I did.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. If that's all the questions then from our committee. Now, Mr. P., you have an opportunity now to ask questions of the officer. I'll tell you though, this is not your time to present your story. It's just to ask questions of the officer at this time. Would you like to ask some questions?
No, I don't need, no, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, great. And we've established we don't have any more town witnesses. Okay, Mr. P, now is your time to present your story. You can go ahead with your testimony.
Yeah, so back in, I guess, couple October, November of 2020, I would say, I guess. I purchased the pool, but the pool was being delivered in May or June of 2021. So I sent my permit application in. And during that time, it was obviously sitting, I had pictures and everything. It was sitting on my driveway and whatnot. At the beginning, the town said, okay, you have to wait. They approved it. However, it got passed down to, I think his name's Javid, the engineer. And they said that when I was speaking to him, he said that there was also an option to, now, sorry, I don't know the proper word, to relocate the easement, because apparently whatever it is, it's on my next door neighbor's backyard, like his side of the yard. So I've been waiting for it to be, I was waiting for that, but however, to relocate it, it was going to take, there was, what's it called? There was like a list that you had to get on and you had to wait till it was done. They already had a bunch of people before me redoing their, I don't know if it's called an easement, but just, moving it. So I said, okay. So I went back and forth with him with calls and stuff, asking for an update. And like I said in my paperwork, obviously, I guess there was a misunderstanding, because when I understood was, yes, you can go ahead. I have proof that the stuff was on my driveway for quite some time. There was construction work being done, like with my deck and with some of the trees and everything in my backyard. That's what was being done. And the driveway was at the time was with the pool, so we had to move it to the backyard. So the pool was actually installed at the end of September to begin in October. I think it was finally completed maybe October 10th of last year. Sorry, I forget her name, but the officer is correct. She did call me and she asked me if it was, we were putting anything together. No, which at the time, no, we didn't. I didn't know. I thought I just applied for a pool permit. I didn't realize that there was something else. Like I didn't know. I realized I had to get like a letter that showed approved. I guess that's my fault for not, looking more into what a pool permit consists of. But when I spoke to the gentleman, we did go back, because he did have my paperwork, the drawings in front of him. To my understanding, when we waited till obviously end of September, October, it was a yes, I could go ahead and whatnot. So that's what we did. There was no issue installing the pool. Only thing, obviously we didn't get to really use it last year, but there was no installation. Like there was nothing that was, no problems were being installed. And then the town did call me. I do own 2 properties. So there was a misunderstanding, and I was very sick as well. When she did call me back, I think in April. And I was obviously very, working with her. Like I told her right away that I had locks on the gates, that I had no problem unlocking it or anything like that. I did receive the letter. Now, I did write in my note that Mr. Santacomatini, he's my ex-husband, so he doesn't live at this house. So I don't know if you guys need a title thing or whatever, but it does show just my name on it. So I explained to her, I understood, obviously there was just some miscommunication and the request for, to destroy it, which, took me obviously, quite a while to save up for the pool, was I didn't want that to be an option. At the very beginning, when we first found out that there was an issue, there was an option that it can be relocated. So I guess that, like I said, the pool, there's nothing wrong with where it is. There's no problems or whatever, but if at all possible, it can be, I'm not an engineer. I don't know how it works, but if it can be relocated or whatnot, I take full responsibility of being misunderstood But to my knowledge, I did get the go ahead at the end of September, October. If I didn't want to listen to procedure or protocol, I would have done it back in May or June, or I wouldn't even gotten the permit. But I'm trying to do the right thing. And like I said, I guess my mistake was I should have understood more of how everything worked. So yeah, that's all I have to say.
And thanks, Mr. P, for that evidence.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. The committee members have any questions for the appellant?
Okay, go ahead, Lindsay. I have questions, but I'm just formulating them right now.
Thanks, Jessica. So I wanted to understand the status of any application to relocate the easement. So you had mentioned that there, was a waiting list, but has the town given you any indication in terms of exactly how long that process might be expected to take?
So when originally I applied for it and I spoke to the town, they did say that the relocation for apparently a bunch of pools that were already on the list would probably be at the end of the summer. So I was like, okay, so I didn't go on that list only because I was still at the time going back and forth with the gentleman. So I didn't go on the list. However, I guess at that time, maybe I had the opportunity, but since I was still going back and forth and I was trying to figure out the situation, but there was opportunity, but the list was just, I had to wait till the end of the summer, to my knowledge. And that's what my understanding was at that time.
Okay, so when we say this summer, we mean this summer 2022?
No, sorry, the last summer. So at the end of last summer.
Okay, so at this point in time, there's no active application to relocate that easement?
Correct, because I just found out I believe it was April 16th, at the end of April, roughly, I'll say, of this year, that there was a misunderstanding that no, it wasn't approved. So now my request, I guess you could say, because I don't want to throw $70,000 down the drain, because it took me obviously a couple of years to save that up. If I can relocate it as of right now, to there's no harm or anything, to the way I look at it anyways. I'm sorry if you guys look at it differently, but there's nothing wrong, I guess you could say, in my backyard. So my request is to go on the list to, I guess, relocate the easement. And to my knowledge of understanding, I'm not an engineer and I don't fully understand it whatsoever, but it's my next door neighbors.
Okay. And then I just have one other question. I do want to confirm you were aware that a permit was required to install the pool, and that you did not receive any such permit before you proceeded with the installation?
Yes. So I was aware that there was a permit, which is what I paid for, but I didn't realize I was supposed to receive, I guess I'm still assuming, I guess I'm supposed to receive a permit letter, which I wasn't aware of. I thought I just go in, I paid, and then I would just get an approval by over the phone. I wasn't expecting, I'm still assuming, I'm assuming I'm supposed to get an actual paper now, to my knowledge. But when I was going back and forth with him, when he said yes, that's what I figured that was an okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
I have a couple questions here. Number one, was your pool professionally installed?
Yes, it was.
And did the construction company who professionally installed your pool request a copy of a permit?
No, they did not.
Did they talk to you about the permitting process and needing to apply for a permit or any such?
Yeah, sorry.
No.
Yeah, they did ask me if I applied for a permit. I said yes, and I was waiting for the approval. And then when they finally started the construction, I told them yes, they approved it, and they said okay.
Okay. Okay, I think that's all the questions I have right now.
Okay. Tyler, you have any questions?
Yeah, sorry, could you just confirm one more time when you had that conversation with the engineering office?
For the approval?
Yes.
So I believe it was roughly the end of September, beginning of October.
And when did the construction actually begin?
It was that's what I'm saying, end of September, beginning of October. So
you started construction immediately after you talked to the engineering office?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and you, I think you might have said you don't remember who you spoke to, right?
No, I believe it was sorry, I'm just looking up his, I believe it was Junaid. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name, Janad.
Okay, and you say that he actually verbally gave you
yeah.
approval.
And when we were talking about it prior, like in June, he said like, oh, okay, well, give me some time. Like they have to look into it. So I said, okay, no problem. I went back and forth with him for a bit, like throughout the couple the months. And then he said that they did their like measurements or something like that. And they said, yes, go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Bless you.
Okay. I'm sorry, did someone say something?
No, sorry, it was my daughter. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Maybe she had a question.
You have a question, babe? No.
Questions, yeah. I'm just looking through here. Bear with me 1 minute, please. Okay. No, I have no questions then. Okay, so Officer Visser, do you have any questions for the appellant?
I just have one question in regards to the appeal package that has been provided to you. Have you been able to observe Stephen Reddy, the engineer of the town's statement? I believe it's on page 50, if you want to bring it up.
Is this a question for the appellant?
Yeah, if she's had the moment to read over the statement.
Sorry, was this part of the 3 pages that I did receive?
The appeal package.
A town engineer. No, to my knowledge, I think I'm just seeing this the first time. I think what I received was 3 pages, but I don't recall seeing this. I can pull what I received. So I received 2 pages, and then so one, it says the Corporation of Town of Ajax order, which says file number, and then it says if I want to appeal, and then the next page said Schedule A, and it gives me the options if to remove the pool or reduce the size, and then repair standards, and then that's it. So it's a 2-page on an 8x11 page sheets. So, sorry, am I missing something?
No, thanks. You answered the question.
Okay, sorry.
Do you have any other questions, Officer Visser?
No further questions.
All right, then. And there's no other appellant witnesses we established. Okay, now we're going to have an opportunity, both parties, to summarize your positions. We'll start with the town. Officer Visser, please go ahead.
My summation is that this pool was built upon an easement and that it does need to be moved from the easement as per the requirements of the application that was signed by the appellant.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Pate, would you like to summarize your position?
So pretty much, I would like to see if I can get it, get the easement relocated, because that was an option from the beginning when I was going back and forth. So that's what I would like to do. Like in my letter said, like I'm a single mother. With just one child, I don't have the money to destroy a pool, and I don't want to, like I said, like I spent $70,000 into a pool, so I don't really want to destroy it. So I would like to have it relocated, as that was an option from the beginning.
Okay, thanks very much. We'll now go into our deliberations and make a decision. Who would like to start?
I just have a quick question, Mr. Chair. Am I allowed to ask another question of Officer Visser for clarification?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. Officer Visser, I'm unfamiliar with the moving of an easement and what that means. And my second part of this question is that it appears from your measurements that the pool water edge itself is not encroaching on the easement, but the pool apron is. And if the apron is removed, does that meet the requirements for the permit to go through?
So in the first part of that question, in regards to an easement being moved, it is the infrastructure of the overall development. So it's calculated prior to the development of the homes in regards to grading, slope, and the flow of water. So it's not something that can be applied for. There's no such program that exists with the town of Ajax. There's no such list that exists with the town of Ajax that you can be put on to have your easement moved, as that is a very lengthy operation that does not, there's nothing that can be done with the town for that. In regards to the water's edge, so the requirement is that the easement from the property line to the edge of the easement is 1.2 meters. The additional needs to be additional 1.2 meters from the easement. So from her property line, it has to be 2.4 meters away. So it's not just the water's edge as well as the apron.
Okay, thank you very much for clarifying that.
You're welcome.
That helps.
All right, then now we'll deliberate and come to a decision. Who would like to start? Lindsay, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, so I'm struggling with this one a little bit because with all due respect to everybody present, I'm really struggling to understand if there was a blatant disregard for the fact that a permit was denied and a pool was installed anyway, or if it was in fact a really unfortunate misunderstanding, right? A really expensive, really unfortunate misunderstanding. And so it actually brings me to another question for Officer Visser. And that really is, what is the immediate urgency in terms of removing, the encroachment on the easement? Is it reasonable from the town's perspective if there's no immediate maintenance and repair concern with respect to the easement? Is it reasonable to provide the appellant more time to resolve the issue? Because I noticed that the time frame in the order was very short. Was that on purpose that it was very short? Am I missing something from that perspective?
There's no purposeful comment for the expiry of the order, as it has to be a minimum of 21 days. We can always delay a re-inspection at any point at the request of the homeowner should they show initiative to comply with the order.
Thank you. And that brings me to another question for the appellant. And that is, from your perspective, what is a reasonable amount of time for you to commit to resolve this concern, either to decrease the size of the pool or to remove it altogether?
So like I said earlier, I'm a single mom, so I would have to do the research on how much it's going to cost to, like, I don't even know where to, like, I would have to figure out what can be done, and how much it would cost. And then I would have to figure out where that money's going to come from. So obviously it's not going to be a snap of a finger, or in 2 weeks I'm going to have it completed. Obviously, like, I want to keep the pool, and whatnot. Like, I can definitely say from your question, like, no, it definitely wasn't like on purpose or just to avoid the permit, because if, like I said before, if I wanted to do that, I wouldn't have even applied for the pool permit, or I would have just, installed it right when I received it. But I did wait for quite a while until to my knowledge, what I received was an okay.
Okay, thank you.
So
but
definitely I would need
that in particular was not my question. My question is, what is a reasonable amount of time from your perspective to resolve this as a concern? Because if I were to, just in my mind, if I were to be modifying this order, my opinion as a committee member, and I don't know if my other committee members agree with me, my amendment would simply be to provide you with a reasonable amount of time to resolve this. I recognize it's a $70,000 mistake, and that's difficult for anyone, single mother or not. And so I would be amenable to provide you a reasonable amount of time. But, just as an example, you said in the summer of 2021, you were going to apply to move the easement, and you were told it would be the end of the summer, but now we're a full year later and that's not yet complete. And so I am looking for a concrete timeline or commitment from you in order to resolve this issue, to be able to amend the order for you.
So if I can get onto the easement list, because there was a list that I was told right from I found out, it would be from there, from that time. So I don't know how long, and I don't know how long it would take. So if someone said, Marley, do you need a month? Well, no, I'm going to definitely need more than a month. Like, it's June, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the pool companies that I would be calling would be charging a lot more, and they're probably very busy. And I don't want where I try to get on the list, or try to get someone from a pool company to say yes, but oh, Marley, they can only do it in September or October. I don't want that to affect my timeline. And also, like, I have to figure out how much it's going to cost, and figure out where the money's going to come from.
Okay, I gotta jump in. Let's just keep deliberating.
Yeah.
Lindsay, do you have other thoughts on this?
No, thank you.
Okay. How about Jessica? What are your thoughts on this?
I agree with Lindsay. It's a really unfortunate and expensive error. I'm still a little bit confused about relocating an easement, or getting on a list for something to do with the easement, and how long that would take, and would it actually resolve anything, and could the pool stay where it was if that process were to occur? So I'm still a little bit confused about that, and I'm asking if either of my other committee members might have more clarity for me on that issue. But then again, like Lindsay, having just a week or two to make this change is not reasonable either, given that I find that if I want to have people to come over to even do simple projects in my own house right now, I'm waiting a month for even a quote. So it's going to be difficult for any work to occur immediately. And so time obviously does need to be factored into this consideration.
Sorry, I have a question. I don't know if I'm allowed to ask a question.
I'm sorry, we can't have questions at this point, Ms. Tippy. Thanks very much, though. Tyler, do you have any other thoughts?
So I mean, just kind of like Lindsay said, I mean, it's either a blatant disregard for the permit process, or this colossal miscommunication. But I'm worried that even if it was a miscommunication and we modified the order or rescinded it, that that doesn't eliminate the town's right over the easement, and I'm worried that this would end up costing the appellant more in the long run if we did anything except for modify it to give her some time. But I also, I kind of see where she's coming from, that even if we do modify it for her, I don't know how she can give us a solid timeline, because I believe her. And when she says that, she doesn't know how, what kind of company or who to call, how much it will cost. And if it costs tens of thousands of dollars, and when we only give her a month to make the repairs, I don't know how that's supposed to work if she doesn't have the credit available. Or just the money on hand. So, I'm having a really tough time with this.
Okay, I'll throw a couple of thoughts in. First off, I want to be clear and put it on the record that we as a committee cannot direct the town to relocate an easement, even if that's even a thing, even a possibility. So that's beyond the scope of our committee. We have to deal with the order in front of us. I think it's one thing that's unfortunate in this case is we don't have somebody from the engineering department here. I'd love to be able to clarify a lot of this by their testimony. We have what is shown actually still on the screen there, the statement from Mr. Ruddy, which seems to make it clear that they don't grant any kind of, in particular, they don't grant any kind of encroachment onto an easement. And it's not within the job scope or authority of anybody in the engineering department to grant such thing. When I was listening to Mr. P, it seems that she was engaged in some sort of ongoing communication with, I believe she identified Mr. Rafiq from the engineering department during the summer of 2021. And that it sounds like it was many times they were communicating this, which is, it seems that this would not be an appropriate thing to be leading Mr. P on, given the statement from the manager, Mr. Ruddy. So this is, I think, a case where it's going to be unfortunate, but our hands are kind of tied as to what we can do in looking at this order. The question about the time frame, I guess, is the only wiggle room we have here. I don't know if I have any other thoughts, but I do appreciate the testimony that Mr. P and the officer gave, because it does help, but it doesn't bring us the whole way around to having some certainty on some of these issues, whether there is even a relocation possibility. We don't even know that. So I'm going to finish with that. And does anybody else want to, this is a complicated kind of a case. Does anybody else on the committee want to add anything before we perhaps look at a motion?
Yeah, before we are ready with a motion, I feel ready to sort of propose what that might look like to the committee. So, I feel like, given that there's uncertainty about the chain of events that led to this, we weren't party to the conversations. We don't know exactly what happened. And also, given Officer Vitzer's statement that there's no sort of imminent need or threat with respect to this easement or the maintenance and repair, I think it's reasonable to provide some time for the appellant to take actionable steps to resolve this or comply with the order. And so I would propose that we extend the deadline to, say, the end of this summer, perhaps September 30th, give her 1 quarter to make efforts to resolve it. And if it's not resolved, then she would be required to comply with the order.
Okay. Are there any thoughts on that before we make it a formal motion? Any other?
I generally agree with that. I was actually going to suggest 90 days, but I think the end of September, I think would make sense here. I think that's a reasonable amount of time to respond to this request at this time.
All right. Well, it sounds like we're ready for a motion then. So, Lindsay, can you restate what the motion is, please?
Certainly. I would move that the order be amended, that the property must be made to conform with the bylaw on or before September 30th, 2022.
Okay. Can I get a vote on that motion, please?
I agree.
In favor? We got 1, 2. Tyler, are you in favor of that motion?
Favor.
Motion is carried. So we have, so Mr. P, we're amending the order to allow you to September 30th to rectify the situation. And if it's not rectified, after which time the order stands, that must be removed or downsized. A written decision will be mailed to you following the meeting. If you do not agree with the committee's decision, the appeals process will be detailed in the written decision mailed to you, and I have outlined those options earlier in the meeting. So thank you very much for attending and providing your testimony. We're now going to move on to the third matter. We have Officer Visser here. This is the matter at 185 Angus Drive. Appellant's name is Kabengi and Nyonda. Are they here?
Through the chair, no, they are not present.
Okay. And and we've had some discussions about this prior to the meeting, and then just for Lindsay's sake, we did talk about this just ahead of time about what we could do with this. This is this unusual case where the complainant, aside from the facts of the matter or the allegations here, we have somebody who wants to proceed in French. And we did get the clarity from the town that we are not Durham region is not a designated area pursuant to the French Languages Act, and the town's business is to be conducted in English. And we can offer a rescheduling of this meeting. There has been some communication between the town, the bylaw department, I assume, and the appellant, and an offer has been made to reschedule for a date upon which the appellant can have a translator present to translate what we are saying and for us to hear what she is saying. And I think that's very generous and fair in this situation. So do I have that correct? I'll refer to Derek. Derek, can you come on? Is that the correct situation? And can we proceed from there with rescheduling?
Yes, Mr. Chair, that is correct. The only difference is that we gave the appellant the option to contact the town to either, if they so choose to put the matter over, to contact us, and we will, or to come to the meeting tonight prepared to continue in English. I think it is only fair with the discussions that has transpired that the town would be willing to reschedule that appeal to a date in the future to give her an opportunity to have somebody that she trusts as somebody who can interpret English to French and then again from French back to English for the committee's behalf. Right.
And this communication is just very, very recently, within days of this hearing, right? So we're not...
That is correct. We hand delivered a letter yesterday to the appellant.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So are we rescheduling this here at the meeting?
At the conclusion of this meeting, if the committee members would stay on, we can try to come up with a date that we can at least find 3 members available, and we can go ahead and do that in the next maybe 3 weeks.
All right, and then we can proceed with full knowledge that all is being done that is required and fair for this case to proceed. Okay, so let's let's look at what's 3 weeks from now. Where are we? We're into July, aren't we?
Well, let's, if we could just agree to postpone this meeting to this appeal to a further date. And if that shows up in the minutes, and then at the end of this meeting, we'll try to pick what date that works for this committee. We don't need to do that during the meeting.
Would you like a motion to defer this to a later date?
That would be great.
Okay, I will propose a motion to defer this hearing of this matter to a later date.
Okay.
That will be agreed upon by the members of the committee.
Okay, all in favor of that motion?
Yep.
Yes, I think that's unanimous, Derek, and we can proceed with that. Whatever it's going to take to figure out when to have the next hearing. Okay then. Now that that matter's done, what are we on to now? We're on to the verbal updates. And it's Derek, do we have 8 Grayson Road, an update?
Yeah, thank you. This was the last appeal the committee heard. It was an animal services issue with a dog bite that took place, and the ultimate decision of the committee was, I believe, to remove the muzzle portion of the order. I'm happy to report that since that decision of the committee, we have had no reoccurrences, and there's been no other activities at the property.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for that update. Okay, any new business to discuss?
The town has no new business.
Very good. So then we'll just figure out the date of the rescheduled matter and how many of us are available, and looking forward about that. And then
if we could just adjourn the meeting officially, and then we'll go from there.
Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll motion to adjourn. There you go.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, let's reschedule.